Tech Certified podcast. Today's guest is Kenneth Ellington, a cybersecurity instructor who helps cybersecurity professionals get hands-on knowledge, advance their careers, and boost their salaries in cybersecurity. Kenneth shared some incredible insight, and in this video, you will learn 3 key tips to help you break into cybersecurity. You will learn about SIEM and SOAR, what they are used for in cybersecurity roles, and how someone goes about learning these systems. You will also learn about Kenneth's incredible journey through his 6-year career as a cybersecurity professional. But before we watch, I want to ask you one thing. When I look at the analytics, I see that of the people who watch the videos on this channel, only 14% are subscribed to the channel. That's up 1% from the last video. Amazing. But let's keep pushing that and get that number up, and that will really help us so much. Now let's get right into the video. And you're an instructor, so you're one of those people who help other people with getting into cybersecurity or boosting their careers and that sort of thing. So I thought this would be a perfect question to ask you. And the question is, if you were to advise someone 3 key steps to breaking into cybersecurity, getting their first job, what would those 3 steps be?
First one is temper your expectations. It's like for most things in life that are really worth it, right? It's probably gonna take you longer than you expect, and just be like mentally prepared for that. It's probably the biggest thing. It's very likely it's gonna happen like in a month or 2, or maybe even 6, right? It might take you a couple of years to get in, like it did for me. But the biggest thing I'd probably say is to be consistent and diligent in what you're doing, right? So temper those expectations, and you'll be better in the long run, right? Because this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? You know, build like a long-lasting, successful career in life, and so have those mental expectations tempered a little bit. Second thing I would tell people is to basically, how should I put this? Treat it like you really care about it, because cybersecurity is very hard to get inside of, right? It pays really well, has really good benefits, and so it's very competitive. For example, if you want to be a doctor, right, you wouldn't expect to get in after like a couple months or 2, or maybe even a year, right? You understand it's going to be very hard because you can get paid a lot, right? If you do it well. So understand that it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be very difficult a lot of the times, but it won't be worth it if you know what you're doing, right? Third thing I would tell people is to surround yourself with people that really care about you outside of your job, and that want to see you succeed, regardless if the opportunity helps them or not, right? Because you are like the sum of the five most common people you hang around with, I think is what research shows, right?
Yep.
So people you hang around with don't take care of themselves. They don't care about you. They kind of like screw off, right? And don't care about their careers. You're naturally going to fall in line with them, right? So if you don't have a good support group, no matter how technically smart or talented you are, you probably won't do too well. So those are 3 keys I would tell people.
Wow, no, those are really good. And yeah, I like that you're honest with people, and you have to be serious about this. Like it's a career. It could definitely be high paying in the future. It's not an easy thing to just get into. And so there's definitely people out there who are like, I want to get into cybersecurity. How do I do it? Bang. And they have an expectation of, I've been applying for a month. I've been learning things for a month, and I'm not getting anywhere. And then it's like, this is a marathon. Like, you got to set the expectation that you're going to be working at this for a certain period of time before you get that opportunity. So that's some great advice, and the other things you said as well, which is amazing. And you talk about your experience with SIEM and SOAR, and just for the audience, could you give a bit of an explanation about SIEM and SOAR and what exactly it is? We'll start with what it is.
Sure thing. I'll start off with SIEM. So SIEM stands for Security Information Event Management System, or Monitoring System, depending on who you ask. All right, so basically what that is, if you ever heard of like Splunk, QRadar, Microsoft Sentinel, Elastic, those technology stacks are normally SIEM platforms, or they have like a SIEM component. So basically what it is all your endpoint devices generate some type of logging data, machine learning data, where the case may be, right? A lot of times it's kind of randomized and it's not readable by human eyes, right? So what a SIEM platform will do, or any log management platform will do, it'll correlate and aggregate that data inside of a centralized platform. So you're able to build detection rules on it, correlate data, build visualizations off of it, using either networking data, DevOps data, IT intelligence data, business intelligence data, cybersecurity data. It just depends on what you want to use, right? So if you have like a Mac, a Windows server, a Linux server, your phones, right, even IoT devices that generate logs, firewalls, XDRs, EDRs, stuff like that, will get sent towards my platform, and I'll manage it basically. And then you're going to have the SOAR component from that. So SOAR is a much more advanced platform. I would say unless you're like tier 3 or like tier 4 for security, like maturity posture, normally you won't have it.
Right.
So SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. Basically, what that does is that automates and orchestrates the incident response process from incident response responders out there. So whenever there's like an alert turns into an incident, meaning it's actually serious, needs to be investigated, that platform will help to manage that, organize it, pull. I should put this kind of organized. If you have different applications, right? Like CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, FireEye or Zscaler, stuff like that. It can pull the direct actions using API call to handle investigations and automate the processes using playbooks and runbooks and stuff like that.
Amazing. That's a great explanation, and what they're used for as well. So, if you could just go back and tell us the difference between the two platforms. One is the management platform. One is the automation response platform. Like, how do we differentiate the two? What's the key differences between SIEM and SOAR?
Sure thing. So for SIEM, that is much more, I'd say, reactive, right? So when you're building detection rules, you're building it based off of known signals that you already know are going to happen, right? But the thing is, you have to wait for it to happen, right? You're not proactively going out and trying to stop it, right? Compared with a SOAR platform, you're normally more actively trying to actually stop a threat from happening before it happens. So like a little more threat hunting stuff, a little more incident response stuff, a little more digital forensic stuff. So technically, a lot of times you still have to wait till something happens, right? But you can be a lot more proactive with the SOAR platform compared to with the SIEM platform, in my opinion.
Amazing. And these tools are super important for many security analyst roles or security engineer roles. Most, let me not say most, a lot of cybersecurity engineers will be using some sort of SIEM platform, and others may be using SOAR platforms. And so it is an important thing for people to learn as a key thing, that if you do have a good understanding of or experience with, it puts you in a good position of getting into the industry. So I wanted to ask you on that note, how does someone actually go about learning to use these platforms, learning to manage them? How do they go about that process?
So there's different learning resources that you can use. Either you can get hands-on jobs experience from your job. So if you work for like an MSP, like ReliaQuest, or let's say Palo Alto, normally you'll get hands-on training from them. The quality and level of it will always vary, right? So buyer beware when you're working with them. Same for any platform, honestly, right? Or you can do, if you're not already working at the field, you want to get hands-on platform or hands-on experience with it. You can use like I think Let's Defend, Try to Hack Me. I would say those are pretty good if you're pretty new towards it and you want like a baseline understanding of it. They go more, I would say, a mile wide and an inch deep, right? And then for what we do for our training program, we go more of a mile deep and an inch wide, right? So we pick very specific platforms in areas such as SIEM, SOAR, and XDR, right? Like for example, we don't teach red teaming because I don't like penetration testing, so I don't really want to teach it. So you go really deep inside of those areas for people that want to niche and specialize in those areas, right? So if you want to be like a cybersecurity consultant specializing in SIEM and SOAR, if you want to be an XDR engineer, if you want to be a senior analyst or lead analyst, right? We can help you get towards that level, right? Because our programs are specifically designed for that, right? I don't cover everything because I don't do everything for my job, right? It just makes sense for me to teach something that I don't want to do or that's not a part of my mission plan. So you go really deep inside of those areas. The flip side on it, it is more expensive, but it's much more tailored towards your individual learning needs, right? So normally what I suggest toward people is if you never touch any SIEM and SOAR platform, do like Let's Defend for a couple months, do like Try to Hack Me for a little bit, And then if you're like, hey man, I love this area, I actually want to kind of specialize in and get more information with it. Come to us and see if we're able to help you out.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And just to touch on what you said, you know, of all the areas in cyber, it's super broad, obviously. For your career and for those getting into cybersecurity, why go this route? Why learn SIEM and SOAR platforms over the other things? Why did you, and why would you say it is a good place for people to get in or to increase their knowledge?
So for my personal learning journey, I fell in love with the platform when I worked at public supermarkets. If you live like in the south of the USA, they're all over the place. I love working there. I thought it was a wonderful experience. So when I worked there, I really got used to Splunk and Splunk Enterprise Security. I used it like 40 hours, 45 hours per week. I kind of fell in love with it, right? One, I had a lot of access to see everyone's data and see what they're doing, which I thought was kind of creepy. I was like 20 years old. And I can see what my executives were sending, like their pictures, the messages, right? Where they're searching up, when they're searching it up. I'm like, guys, like I'm only still like a kid. Like, why are you getting this much power? So I thought that was like really cool. Second reason is it forces you to learn a lot of different areas of cybersecurity because you are ingesting logs from various different platforms. So you need to understand how developers think, right? How do developer logs look, right? You need to understand networking, right? Because if you're running investigations, a lot of the times you need to understand fundamental networking principles, right? Ports, IP addresses, routing numbers, right? MAC addresses, right? How do those connect towards the internet, right? How can you block those? How can adversaries like pivot from the techniques, right? So understanding the fundamental concepts are required to do this work, right? That's why I thought it was really cool that I got to learn all of that basically just by learning the third platforms.
Makes a lot of sense, and that's a really good shout. And I love the point about, like, obviously if you're reviewing logs from the whole company and all of the platforms they use, you're going to come across these different platforms and even get a better understanding of other platforms that are out there, which is really cool. We've just launched a free cloud engineer assessment to evaluate and assess your current skills on your path to becoming a cloud professional. Now, when you take this assessment, it provides some incredible recommendations for your path. And remember, this is completely free. It costs you nothing. It only helps you on your journey. So if this interests you and you're an aspiring cloud professional, definitely take this assessment. I'm gonna leave a link to it. Here's an example of me taking it myself and getting some pretty good recommendations from my own assessment. So guys, check this out, and I hope this is really helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. And just to go on further from there, I mean, you briefly touched on your story and your journey through tech, and I want to get into that a little bit more. So let's talk about your story, and if you could briefly walk me through your journey in tech from beginning to where you currently are. And I know that's a long journey. I mean, these are 6 years, but talk about some of those key moments in your journey and how you got to your current position.
Sure thing. So my dad's actually a software engineer. He's been for the past like 28 years now, I think. So he's the one to kind of push me and my brother to go inside of technology. Initially, we didn't really want to do it. Especially I didn't want to do it, right? So he made me do like this Code Academy web development course during like summer when I was in middle school. That was like the lamest thing ever. Like, pops, you're telling me basically someone pays you a bunch of money to type on the keyboard all day? I'm like, it sounds really stupid. I don't want to do it. So I didn't do it. So when I graduated from high school, I went to college, local community college first. And I did my undergrad was business management. Then when I went to USF for my undergrad, for my normal college stuff, it was still business management. But I kind of wanted to like niche down and get better job prospects after I graduate. So I asked my pops, I'm like, hey dad, I'm like, what area should I specialize in? He's like, how about IT, Kenneth? I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's a great idea. So I kind of did IT, and then I started to pivot towards more cybersecurity. And one of the things I tell my students is let people know what your true desires are, so they're able to speak on your behalf when they're not inside of their room, right? The closed mouths don't get fed. If I don't know what you want to do, Caleb, outside your free time or business stuff, right? I can't help you out, right? I can't read minds. So I told everyone that listened towards me that I wanted to do cybersecurity or IT, right? And lo and behold, my store manager at the time, Lori, she's like, "Hey, Kenneth, you said I do IT and cybersecurity, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, well, the director for cybersecurity for Publix is coming towards our store in a couple of weeks. Do you want to meet him?" It's like, "Oh yeah, sure, of course." Right. And so I met Rick. He sat me down, right? Love my energy and attitude. He's like, "Kenneth," he's like, "I want you to work for me next summer." It's like, "Oh, great." But it's like there are things I'm gonna need you to do for next year, basically. He's like, "If you can do everything on this list that I'm about to give you, I can almost guarantee you a spot on my internship team next year." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Let's do it." Give me a list of things I need to do. Get Security Plus, study for Splunk, go to two different conferences. I think Cyber Conference for Florida and then B sites in Tampa. And then Shadows team. I did all of that over the past like 9 months. This is summer of 2018. Fast forward towards March of 2019. I interviewed with the team. I get the job. That's how I got how I got that cybersecurity. Then from there, I did work as a software engineer. Like once I graduated, got a job at EY as a SIEM and SOAR consultant doing senior work. And then I left EY 2 weeks ago, and I run my own business full time, basically.
Incredible. And that story is really cool, man. That really shows like the power of networking. I mean, it sounds pretty crazy because all you really did to start that off was just tell people, and the funny thing is it wasn't even people that were in that area. It's like I want to get into tech, into cyber, and I'm just telling my store manager, and somehow there's a connection to someone else who works in cyber and who has the hiring power to give you an internship, which is really cool. And I think that's a good lesson for the audience or for anyone trying to get into any role. Talk to people about it. If you're trying to get into tech, you need to be outside saying to others that I am trying to get into tech. This is what I'm trying to do. One, there's people that could give you some great advice on that, but there's also people who could help you on that path and even offer you positions. So that really stood out in your story, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I would say it's not complicated, the techniques they teach our students. It's just hard to be consistent about it, right? It's awkward, right? You gotta tell people like the things you really want to do, right? If people always assume they can get laughed at or called stupid, right?
Mm.
But you have to kind of get over that fear of looking foolish, right? And then go after it, right? The more you're willing to look dumb in public, the better opportunities you will get in the long run.
Wow,
I've definitely found that out really quickly throughout my career.
that's such a quote. We're gonna quote that and put it in the and put it on our page, man. You gotta be willing to look dumb.
You really
But
have
no,
to.
no, that makes so much sense. And yeah, that's really cool. And I wanted to jump into another question, and I wanted to. Well, I asked this question to everyone actually, to everyone who comes onto the podcast, and I wanted to ask you this question as well. It is a question of your most interesting career story, the most interesting thing that's happened to you in your career, or one of your really interesting career stories. And it could be interesting in a good way or interesting bad. Like it could be good, like, something great happened, you saved the day or whatever the case may be. Or it could be you made some sort of mistake, or, it's up to you. But what is one of your most interesting career stories that you could share with the audience today?
Okay, so as consultants, right, we travel quite a bit, right, for a role for different clients, right? You go to different clients, I do workshops with them, then you go back home. So I was in this was a year and a half ago. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina for one of my clients. They're a really big bank. So we stayed at the Marriott Bonvoy, like in downtown Raleigh. Um, and when we were there for like 4 nights. By the way, Raleigh's a really nice city. By the way, you should definitely visit it. Super nice, super small.
I've actually
Like
been
really
there
like close
to
down.
I just been to the airport. That's it. The airport's
Oh.
nice.
It is. It's actually kind of small though, but I like it a lot though.
Yeah.
Anyways, So we were there for 4 days, right? On the final day, right? My flight was like at I think 6:30. I had to wake up like really early to catch my flight. I woke up like at 4, and I was waiting in the air, and I was waiting inside the hotel lobby, but because it's like 4:20 a.m., right? Nobody's there, right? It's completely empty, right? It's just like the receptionist and then like the cleaning staff. And so I was waiting there, and I at the corner of my eye, I'm like, "Is that naked guy in the lobby?" I'm like, "There's no way." I'm like, "There's no way." Turn around again. I'm like, "Oh God!" I'm like, "He's actually completely naked." And the the lady walks up. "Why are you completely naked here?" Um, and so they start talking. The security guy comes in, it's like running. He's like flashing the side. He's like, "Why are you naked inside my lobby?" Um, and so the security guy actually runs like the bus shuttle system for them to take people towards the airport. He took me
Mm.
toward the airport, and he'll tell me what happened. So basically, like I was like an executive at one of the companies, right? And they had like a party last night, and he got plastered drunk, right?
Mm.
So he like stumbled up towards his hotel room. I guess he took off all his clothes, fell asleep, woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning, then walked outside his hotel room, but he's naked, so he doesn't have his hotel key, so he can't get back inside. He had to walk all the way down, get in the elevator completely naked, and go towards the hotel front desk to get a new key. And he says that happens a decent amount of times, actually. So I was just, I guess it was funny too because he told me that he was like a platinum member for Marriott, so now they're gonna basically call his company because you can't be naked inside of like a public place. Um, and so I mean, completely naked, Caleb, like completely naked, no clothes whatsoever, no shoes, no
I
shirt, no
got
nothing.
it. That's probably one of the wildest story we've had on the pod.
I was just like, I guess too early for this, man. Like I'm trying to go back to Dallas
And you were traveling for a conference
for work for my
for
client.
work, and
Yeah.
so was he involved? Was he like
No. Complete different company.
it's just a
Completely different
random
company.
guy? Just
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the company had a party like across the street at a different hotel. And then he got completely drunk and just forgot about his clothes when he went inside his hotel room.
wow. Thanks for that one, Kenneth. That's probably the craziest story you had on the podcast so far.
That's wild. That was absolutely wild.
Wild, bro. No, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming onto the podcast. And before we end it off, I just wanted to ask you if you had anything you wanted to plug, promote, and share to the audience. Yeah.
Yes, actually I do. So we do run a cybersecurity training consulting company called Ellington Cyber Academy, or ECA for short. So we do SIEM, SOAR, XDR training solutions. So think of Splunk, Elastic, XSOAR, Splunk Phantom, Sentinel-1, those technology platforms. We design solutions and training programs for our students. All our programs are really hands-on. The programs are about 6 to 9 months long. Our guarantee to all our students is you get access towards me and my staff until you reach your goals. So if that takes you 4 months, cool. If it takes you 18 months, that's even better, right? You still get access towards me, right? I actually got word from one of my students last night. They just got a new cybersecurity analyst position for
Amazing.
6 figures, and they got their salary increased by $40,000.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty good last night. Very excited for him. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, just reach out towards me over LinkedIn. Our site will be inside the comments probably. I'll give it to
Yep.
Caleb so he gets to
Yep.
have it. Or I'm also inside of Day's Cyberwalk channel as well. So feel free to hit me up there too.
Amazing. Amazing. I will be linking everything you mentioned in the description of this video. So for the audience, if you want to check out Kenneth's ECA, the Academy, check that out with the link below. If you want to follow Kenneth on LinkedIn, check that out. It'll be in the description as well. And everything else you mentioned, I'll watch it back and make sure it's there.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks so much, Kenneth, for being on the podcast today. And for everyone watching, we are back to weekly episodes. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast. We have posted pretty much every week with the exception of 1 week or so. And we're trying to keep that going. So we want to get more great guests with great insights. So leave in the comment section, leave the name of a guest that you want to see on the podcast, whether it's a tech creator, whether it's a tech professional, and we'll do our best to get them on the pod. Thanks so much for watching this episode, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.